يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون قال الله تعالى يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فيا عباد الله اتقوا الله أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله وطاعته فقد فاز المتقون. Brothers and sisters, rahimakumullah, first and foremost, let us try our best to have taqwa to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the real taqwa. Fearing Allah, being aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us all the time and aware of what we're doing. Inshallah, today, khutbah, I'll be talking about our love and our worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this reminder, first and foremost, is for myself, as my ears is closer to my mouth. But inshallah, hopefully we'll learn something and we'll take this opportunity to correct ourselves and to remind ourselves our purpose in this world. As a human being, we make a lot of claims. We claim that we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We claim we are a Muslim. We claim we are the best Muslim. We are the best father. We have the best family. We are living the best of this world. So we claim a lot. And we claim to love a lot of things, especially in relation to our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we talk about claiming something, it has to come with some evidence. It has to come with some things that you can prove what you're claiming for. Whether you're in a business, whether you are in health, whether you are in a court, a claim means nothing unless you can prove it. So when we say that we love something, what is the evidence? And what do we see that will manifest, that will show when we say that we love something? Things of human love, for example, we'll take some easy thing that we can see or think of ourselves. Let's say one day when we are doing the prayers in this masjid or somewhere else, someone famous comes in. Let's say Sonny Bill William. Most of you will know him. He might come today to join our prayer in the masjid. And people love him, especially the young boys, the one that follow rugby. Or it can be anyone, maybe a cricket player, a soccer player, whoever. Think of how people will react, especially people that adore him or love him. We might try to give him the best place in the masjid. We might try to find his shoes if he missed it after the prayer. We might try to offer some water to him. And afterwards, we will keep talking about it. We will keep talking about it, telling others who are not here that we've done something. We might tell them, hey, we've helped someone famous to find their shoes, or tie their shoes even, or bring them a cup of water, even though it's trivial, even though it's a small thing. Why do we do that? So that is what manifests, that it's what we see as a reaction of our love, of our liking to something or to someone. We feel joy and honored to love. We feel joy and honored to serve something or someone that we love. So this is probably the easiest example or the easiest thing or analogy that we can say a manifestation of our love to someone. So, if it's not Sonny Bill, it can be anyone else. But you get the idea. It might be a politician. The election is coming. So you might see a party or someone that you want to vote near you. So you might do the same thing. It might be a king in your country. It might be someone important in your company or in your family. But you tend to do the same thing. You feel there's some honor in serving people that you love or you respect. There is tashrif. There is this feeling that you're doing this not just because you have to do it, but you're doing it because you have this tashrif, you have feeling that you're actually honoring this person because you love him so much. And it's not purely a taklif, it's not purely something that you do because it's an obligation, or because you're paid to do so, or because you have to do so. So this is probably no different from when we say that we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we say that we love Allah, when we say we love this feeling being spiritual, feeling being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no point of claiming this unless it comes with obedience. Unless it comes with the worship. Unless it comes with action. Because otherwise, what you will see in this world is people will race to do something that makes them feeling high, or feeling satisfied, or feeling this buzzing in their heart. I mean, let's give another example. People like to do big event that attracts big people and get big promotion or big audience. Might be giving food to the homeless on the street, or people will come and take pictures of you. Or you might do an event in a big hall, hundreds and thousands of attendees, and you feel glad, you feel good, you feel buzzing in your heart because you've done something good. But if you don't love, if you don't really understand why you're doing it, once the thing finish, once the event finish, once what you're doing finish, the buzzing goes away and you go back to your own self and you're no longer doing what you want to do. You no longer feel that you want to do it again, and you'll find something else that will give you the similar satisfaction. So this is not actually we want when we say that we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't worship Allah just because we want to feel high for a moment. We want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because we love Him, and we understand that it's an obligation as a slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have to do it. We're not looking for a minute or few hours of satisfaction. We're looking for a long life satisfaction from serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the point is, whatever you do, whatever you say, whatever you act in this life is a manifestation of what's inside yourself. What you obey indicates what's sitting in your heart. So be careful with what you love. I mean, as I given an example earlier, if you love and worship a sportsman, people can see it. If you love and worship the dunya, if you love and worship wealth, if you love and worship your wife more than anything else, people can see it. If you love and worship the children, people can see it. And that's the manifestation what is actually in your heart. And that's what will guide us to do things even without we thinking or realizing we do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran in Surah Al-Isra verse 84, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, قُلْ كُلٌّ يَعْمَلُ عَلَى شَاكِلَتِهِ فَرَبُّكُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنْ هُوَ أَهْدَى سَبِيلًا. Means, say, O Prophet, to the mankind, each one of you does according to shakilatihi, and your Lord knows best of him whose path is right. So shakilatihi means your way, your style, your religion, your inner image, something that's sitting deep in your heart, your intention. And this is what Ibn Kathir said in the Tafsir Ibn Kathir. This is your habit, this is your instinct, this is something that you do without you thinking about it. This is something that you're customs with. So whatever we do in this life, we base on our shakilati. So whatever it is for ourselves, each and every one of you could be different. And sometimes we don't realize this, but this is actually what's sitting in your heart. So if we given an option, the way we decide is different from the next person sitting to us, how they decide on it, even though it might be a similar problem. It will be affected by who we with, who we live with, what kind of work we do, what kind of education we have, what kind of knowledge we have. So our shakilatihi, this is what we want to guide, this is what we want to make sure that we are sitting in the right part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because otherwise, what's sitting inside you, what's engraved inside you that you can't see, might not be what you think it is. This is also what we understand about khuluq or akhlaq. Because when we say akhlaq, it is something that we do without we having to think, without we having to strive thinking about it. That's an easy example. If you see rubbish on the road, if you see rubbish around the corner, you will have, some people will have this reaction of, oh yep, there's rubbish, let's pick it up, put it in the rubbish bin. And you don't have to think about it. And you're just doing it out of a habit, out of a custom. So that's the kind of khuluq or akhlaq that you want to be. If your reaction for that situation is, oh yep, it's another rubbish, there's a lot of rubbish anyway, what it has to do anything with me, or you might not be aware that it's there, that's an example of what's sitting inside you. You might not have been taught, or you might not have been made aware of it. Alhamdulillah, we are sitting in a place where cleanliness is quite common. I mean, in general, Kiwi are quite good with cleanliness. So this is engraved in the school and in education, in the workplace. And this is what we want to be. And this is what Islam teaches us about. When you see things that is not in the right place, do your best to correct it. As simple as removing some harm or some rubbish from the road. So your inner image or your what's inside you, there's a deeper level to it in terms of what you strive and what you do. It all depends on what's inside. It's not something that just comes by itself. Obviously, it's something that has been built for years, times, on wherever you live, or how you've been brought up, what kind of education you've been brought into, what kind of family, what kind of parents you have, and what kind of people you hang around with. It's quite closely related to irada. We understand irada as as your will or your determination for something. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah talk about irada as something that really closely related to raja', as in returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to have hope, and you have to have this irada, you have to have this determination to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're putting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as one of his attributes, al-awwal wal-akhir. It's al-akhir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be our last irada, should be our final irada. If people ask us, what do you want in life? I mean, as a young people, you might want to say, I want a good education, I want a degree. What do you want after that? I want a good work, I want a good position, I want a good salary. What is after that? I want a good family, I want a good wife, good kids. And what's after that? It will go on and on and on and on. But eventually, finally, what do we actually want? What is our final determination? What is actually our final need? This is what it says. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be our final irada. It should be our final thing that we do, because we know this life in this world is short, it's temporary, we're just visiting. In the end, all of us are going to be brought upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're going to be questioned about what we do, and that's what's matter most. There's an end to what the things that we want in this world. The kids will grow up, they will go away, move away, we will die. The wealth that we collect and we gather, eventually we use up. We might pass away without it. Definitely, we're not going to bring it into the grave. So there's an end to everything. And this is what we need to remember. The last thing we should want and need in our life should be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this hopefully will guide what's engraved in ourselves. So back to the start, when I say about our love, when we say we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has to be reflected in our worship. Our ubudiyah, our ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we understand this is the purpose of our creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We know this verse. We know this verse, we've heard it multiple times, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have created us and the jinn for nothing except to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's us work and hope that our actions and our speech in this life goes in line with what we say from our mouth. It will guide it and based solely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will fill our heart with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes, and we will keep staying away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what He doesn't like. We will try to fill our heart with things that will bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and again avoiding things that will make us go away. So my advice to myself and to you is to guard our heart carefully, because this is what's important and this is what's going to be reflected in our daily doings. It is a holy ground. This is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love and light going to go into. None of us can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our eyes, but we can feel the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can feel the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our heart. So this is what we have to protect. This is what we have to nurture and help to build for the betterment of ourselves, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المسلمين ورزقنا من الطيبات. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Brothers and sisters, rahimakumullah, before you fill a container, before you fill a vessel, before you fill a space, you have to make sure that it's empty. You have to make sure that there is a space in it. So when we talk about filling our heart with the light and with the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to make sure before it can be filled, there is a space for it. We have to make sure that it's not filled with the things that not going to be allowing the light and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go into it. If we have something that we love, again going back to the example of something that we love, if we have a dirty house, if we have an untidy house, if our house is messy, we're not going to invite someone who we respect. We're not going to invite someone that we honor to come to our house. So let's have a think about our heart. We're not going to invite the light and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if our heart is filled with dirt, with the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to like. We know that when the light and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes into our heart, it will help to clean it, it will help to purify it. But we have to make sure that there is a space for it, there is a condition for it, that we strive for it. We say this again and again when we say the Shahada. When we say the Shahada, La ilaha illallah. The first part is La ilaha. We say that there is no ilah. I mean, we say this connotation of there should be nothing. We empty it first, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we understand ilah. Ilah is not purely means God, but it means something that we follow, something that we base ourselves on, something that our life relates around it, something that our life resolves around it. Some people, ilah might be their wealth, might be their family, might be the position, might be this world. So it's not purely God or an idol, but it's what our life resolves into. So when you say La ilaha illallah, we want to make sure that our heart really is not filled with anything else except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is something that we live for. It is something that we strive for. And it is something that we cannot ignore in our life. And every single person, whether it's a Christian or it's a Muslim, whether it's an atheist, will have their own ilah in this world. And we as a Muslim, we want to make sure that it's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Jasiyah, verse 23, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen, O Prophet, those who've taken their own desire as their ilah? So this is just an example, a reminder for us not to take ilah except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let us ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the most pure and the most sincere heart that we can have. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins, to remove anger, to remove arrogance, and to remove bad desires from our heart. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the trials of this dunya. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from misguidance. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our heart not to get it attached to this world and its content. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to let the world just stay in our hand but not in our heart, so that our heart can be filled with the light and the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى طاعتك ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم واسألوه من فضله يعطيكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون أقيموا الصلاة